This morning on This Week, on the heels of World Day Against Human Trafficking, a look at the push to make people more aware of the signs. This week, we hear from Iowa's Secretary of State, as well as law enforcement, on the progress so far and the hope for the future. Plus, a Kelowna family's joy.
I was like, I remember that. I'm like, oh, I can't wait for that day. And it's just cool that it will be here soon. And
Twins born with club foot on their way to taking their first steps. This week, we learn more about the treatment they received that was developed at the University of Iowa. And later, electric delivery.
The reason I started a company was to have as much impact as possible.
A peek inside the all-electric delivery van made right here in Illinois. How many Amazon plans to put in service? That's next on News 8 This Week.
WQAD News 8, this is WQAD This Week.
Good morning. It's Sunday, July 31st. Thank you for joining us for News 8 This Week. I'm John Diaz. Saturday marked the World Day Against Human Trafficking. Over the past few years, both Illinois and Iowa have made efforts to combat the problem, both through legislation and by making people more aware of the signs of human trafficking. This year, Iowa's Secretary of State Pate launched an initiative called the Iowa Businesses Against Trafficking. It's part of the state's Safe at Home program. Now there is a push to educate people and get them to act. And joining us now to talk about efforts to combat human trafficking in Iowa are Iowa Secretary of State Pate, Special Agent in Charge Chris Calloway with the Iowa Office to Combat Human Trafficking, and Sergeant Joseph Nickel with the Iowa Department of Transportation's Motor Vehicle Enforcement. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. Secretary Pate, I want to start with you. You have been challenging Iowans to keep their eyes open. What should they be looking for, and how is your office trying to educate the public?
Well, Iowa's one of the great states from the standpoint that we believe in being friendly and welcoming, but we do have a problem here. In human trafficking, it's definitely a form of slavery, and we want to combat it. So I'm asking folks to pay a little more attention to what's going on around them. Kind of a neighborhood watch approach, if you will, for what we consider suspicious or abnormal behavior. We have a whole list of other things you can watch for, and those are on our website, the ibat.iowa.gov site. But this Saturday is going to be the World Day Against Human Trafficking, and it's a worldwide problem, and we're going to focus on our corner here in Iowa. We need your help to be a part of that, and I'm really pleased to say we're partnering with the Department of Public Safety and our friends over at the Department of Transportation. This is part of our team. We have a lot of folks in the nonprofit advocate side too, but collectively we're doing our best to try to combat this. And today we're just trying to make sure you get the information so you can help us out.
Special Agent in Charge Calloway, what are you seeing in Iowa when it comes to human trafficking? And give us some context. How does that compare to other parts of the country?
Obviously, the largest populous states are receiving the most tips and have the most investigations regarding human trafficking. We see a variety of tips. They come in and they can manifest themselves under labor trafficking, human trafficking, and other associated crimes. And so it's our hope, it's our goal that through this increased awareness as part of the Secretary of State's initiative and the DOT's training of the trucking and motoring industry, along with our law enforcement and general public training, that awareness increases, which results in increased tips so that we can pass them on to our law enforcement partners.
Sergeant Nickel, your department has focused on driver awareness to this issue. You've partnered with Truckers Against Trafficking. What results are you seeing from that education and those partnerships?
We're seeing some good results. So actually, if you're familiar, 2017, off the top of my head, there was a young girl from here in Iowa that was taken under false pretenses on a trip to Florida. It was actually a truck driver in the state of Virginia that recognized that and reported it. So we're hearing of cases from around the United States where those truck drivers are making those calls. They have always been and always will be the eyes and ears of the road.
And Secretary Pate, last question for you. Let's fast forward to the end of this year, or maybe even the end of next year. How do you look back to determine that your efforts are working, or if you even need to redirect?
Well, we've got different ways we can measure it. We can look at the stats. The Attorney General in 2020 was showing 558 trafficking victims that were identified and 158 labor trafficking victims. So we'll be tracking those numbers. Our friends at Department of Public Safety will be watching their tip line to see how much they're getting on that side of it as well. And we work with our advocates. They can tell us firsthand how many people they're working with. The victims themselves who are moving to a survival mode will see those numbers. Quite candidly, we're probably going to see an uptick on all those because we are making the public more aware. We're putting more resources out there so the victims will get the help they need, and that means those numbers will probably go up. The real trend is how we watch over the next 5 years to see if we're making truly an impact on locking down our borders to make sure people know this is not a state to come into to try to operate a slavery operation through labor or sexual trafficking. And I want my colleagues in other states to join us, Illinois, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska. We need to lock down our entire region and this entire country and eliminate human trafficking.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, take care.
And to learn more about what the agencies you just heard from are doing, you can visit their websites, which you see on your screen. And of course, for more information, you can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888.